Well, when you've found the joy of living in the hope of God existing and being your heavenly dad who loves you, it won't actually be a smugness at all. It'll be an overwhelming joy and fullness, a shalom, in fact, that is such surplus. You want to love and have all life experience what you are experiencing. And you can translate that into simply saying you have a love for all life. It's not just a harmlessness principle of some Buddhist hope. It's much more than that. You want others to share in the abundance that you have. So you have certain features that even the most secular world appreciates. Not just the fact that you're enjoying things, but that you actually want others to enjoy things in the same way. You wish to share. You have a generosity. You have a concern, a love for others. You are motivated all the time to bring this same blessedness to those around you. I mean, you're a pain in the neck if you're a Bible thumper, but I mean... Yes, well, I agree. I can remember as a secular person, if I found myself by mistake looking in a window that happened to turn out to be a Christian shop, Bible shop window, I nearly died with embarrassment and quickly got off the scene. I do know what it's like to be on the other side. Look, contrast it for a minute with the state of being totally secular. There is no God, right? It's a good world in some ways, it's a rotten world in others, and, well, there's a lot of chance out there, there's a lot of uncertainty, and who knows which way one's own life will go, but I'm hoping it goes the right way and I'll be successful and get a good job and have a nice wife and have good children and will avoid illnesses and, yeah, well, I die in the end, but I mean, that's a long way off. I hope. Well, that's sort of okay while you're finding it to be okay, but because it's not overflowing with tremendous love for others, only certain others, namely that which is yours and that which you want to be yours. And that's increasingly and constantly frustrated, you find, as you carry on through life. You're not getting what you deserve. You're not getting what you want. You're not getting what he's got. You're on the road to hell without realizing it. And I don't mean at this point, demons and furnace of fire. I mean, you're on your way to... You look at the faces of some of these older people. You're on your way to that, mate. Unhappiness, loneliness, awful feeling of failure. Look, I daren't go through it. I'm not listing it. I mean, you know what the world's like. You know what you don't want to be. You don't want to be this poor wretch on the streets of, for argument's sake, Calcutta, who's desperate poverty and one foot in the grave. I mean, you don't want that. You don't have to be enlightened to know you don't want that. You just don't want it. if you come across someone who looks as though they've got the answer, check it out. Check it out. What's this about? I don't care whether it's some loon who's got a ministry of healing or anything that's unknown. You check it out. This is what youth does. Wow, that's fascinating. What's that? Whoa. You know? Is this an experience I want, or is this an experience to avoid like the plague? Youth is alive in that way. It's desperately ignorant, you might think, but at the same time, it's incredibly free to experience life and contrast. Now, you may be avoiding religion because you're pretty clear that they're anything but free, and it's certainly not the sort of imprisonment you want in that sort of mindset. And that's perfectly understandable if that's the sort of religious people you've come across. And it's not just understandable, it's the right solution too. You should avoid them like the plague. So look, the acid test is very simple. Are you longing for others to share in the abundant peace and joy that you are now experiencing? And if the answer is no, it's probably because you're not actually experiencing this mythical abundance, peace and joy and fullness of life. And that's why you have no inclination to share or love those around you very much at all. And you're all in the same boat together. It's all very sad. But you're making the best of it. Well, you're not making the best of it. There's better choices on the menu. Have a look at that menu again. Now, I agree, you don't have to go down the religious fundamentalist path and become like them. God forbid. And I don't mean by that there aren't a few saints among them. There are everywhere, you know. Even in the university you'll find a few saints. Not just Marshall. Oh, in fact, I remember another, she was a younger member of staff. I was a student at the time. And her name was Joy. What a name, eh? And she's right, too. She was a joy in her way. Yeah, good friend she was, bless her. A professor, what was his name now? Tony Atkinson. His research was inequality, poverty. He's an economist, you see. And he was outstanding in his field. Wow. That was an example for me to follow. Do you know, his friend wouldn't accept the post in the department unless his friend, Tony Atkinson, could come. And his friend's name was Bliss. Bliss. What was his first name? No matter. What a lovely name. Bliss. I remember he was teaching us some course in advanced macro theory, I think it was. I don't know, micro theory, I can't remember now. And of course we're aware of his name when we're talking about maximising utility and theoretically whether there's ever a bliss point and so on. And of course we wanted to tease him about his name being Bliss, because he was arguing that there was no bliss point, you see. But I don't think we really did risk it, you know. But what a name, Bliss. Oh, that was a sidetrack, wasn't it? I get carried away, don't I? Thank you, Dad. Look, what do you value? You know what your values are. If you don't hope in that which you value, what hope have you? If you've no hope, you've no life. You need to love your God, the personification of your values, with all your heart, soul, mind and strength. Go for it. And trust in all your heart that He's going to lead you the right way. That's part of your values, that you can trust such a God. Otherwise, he's no good to you. So your God is unquestionably someone you can trust. You'll have no other. Good on you. And he will open up as you pursue him, follow him, practice everything that follows from your values. You'll open up insight and realization to what things are right and what things are not right for you. How your values have changed simply by seeing it. This is life eternal, to know him, to know God. To know him is life eternal. You're not going to know him unless you attend to him, court his company. Believe in him with all your heart. Your God, not someone else's, not the Pope's or, Buddha or Jesus's or anyone else's. Your God. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've listened to such people and I've gathered what I've gathered. But I've gone out by that same door wherein I went. I know what I value. And sure, listening to them, and I've picked up things from them that I agree with and things that I don't. And you might say, what a cute lack of humility that you can listen to Jesus or Buddha or Krishna or whoever and not simply swallow it all hook, line and sinker. Oh, okay, I don't have humility. It's been an incredible safeguard to me in that case. Thank you, Dad. Pursue love, joy, peace, hope, goodness, abundance, blessing, the miraculous. Yeah, why not? I mean, even our technology is miraculous, leave alone what could be out there beyond it. And is, of course. It's revealed every day. This is life. Life is this incredible opportunity to pursue what you truly value and find out who you are or what you wish to be and what you choose to be. I choose to believe in certain things. And I find the consequence by following that with all my heart, soul, mind and strength. I mean, I pursued truth without really quite realizing it. No, that perhaps I did philosophically when I was reading Plato. Suddenly I found my teacher, hadn't I? Oh, yes, this is it. Reason, logic. So, I went to university, I had the opportunity of studying under Alistair McIntyre. Logic, formal logic. Oh, I'm doing that. Wow. And I was the best at it, with a few others. I don't mean I was, I don't want to portray some humility here. I'm just saying that what a blessing it was. Did I swallow everything that he believed? No way. Even in his field, I didn't quite agree with him on certain things. But what a blessing to have met him. Yeah. Thank you, Dad. You are alive. This is a fantastic opportunity. You've got to be like the Jehovah's Witnesses when they become JWs, so they won't call themselves that, but in fact, I don't think they even call themselves Jehovah's Witnesses now. Do they? Oh, perhaps they do, yeah. They're as likely to pack up their full-time job straight away and get a job self-employed, like running a cleaning business. That was typically one that they'd do, so that they can be out on the streets 2 or 3 days a week evangelizing, because they're filled with the fact that they want to bless others in the same way. At least that's my cast on it. I mean, it may be because they're frightened to death they go to hell if they don't. Otherwise, we won't go down that road, will we? Okay? But, learn from them. And when you come across the fact that they've got absolutely wonderful children, some of them, at least the ones I met, marvellous children. I mean, their behaviour, and that was just, I mean, you could say, oh yeah, it's because of fear and strict discipline and it's a nightmare, but, well, I don't know. I mean, you could be right, but my goodness, I was impressed. Well, you have to find out, don't you? And perhaps it is revealed it's for the wrong reason, I don't know. But find out these things. And you're not going to find out by just not looking. You find out through study, observation, contact with, talking to, chatting with, not avoiding them like the plague. And when, of course, you come to the conclusion, no, this is not what I value, this is, in fact, darn risky, I'm not risking this, fine. Well, at least you're doing it with some sort of informed position now, aren't you? Better than simply ignoring in the first place everything that comes your way. That's a disaster. So I can find, yes, I am talking to this person I didn't choose to, and he's chatting on, and much of what he's saying, my goodness, I do not agree with this. And suddenly he touches on something, I think that's an interesting view. That reminds me of so-and-so. And you know, I started to get the impression that's why you had him talking with me, isn't it, God? Thank you. It's a thought, isn't it? And I develop it and so forth. You see, with this love of your God, you will be alive to everything that will teach you, not some mythical someone else according to some mythical set of values that you don't accept as your values, but teaches you what the next step is, reveals it to you. You're an active part of the homeschooling that you're receiving from your God. Wow, how lovely. And it is very personal, it's unique to you. You will not be the same as any other student. Bless you. Look, no one has the right to take over your view of your relationship between you and your God. It is unique, and it is going to be your wonderful contribution to the heavenly host when you are finally in heaven for eternity. It is your view, along with the kaleidoscope of other views there of trillions of persons, that make up the completeness of our God, his family, his reason for living. You are that important to him. Yes, personification of your values. Why personification? Why not just my values? Because you are a person. You are not the physical body. That's just a collection of atoms, molecules put together in a certain way. But you are dynamizing it with who you are, which is something of mind, something of thought, something more like values and aspirations and causality than physical hard rock matter, which, as you know, is not physical hard rock at all. It's this fantastic swirling at infinite speed mass of electrons and particles and space, hardly any matter there at all. Reduce all the matter in your body to as close as that there's no space between them. And you wouldn't even see it. It's so small. That's how much matter you're made of. And we're not even clear that that isn't space too. You are much, much more like thought and energy, at least. Even the scientist feels we're more like energy. Clusters of energy in some sense, bundles of it. But perhaps even the matter that we think is matter is also ever space. And perhaps we don't know what thought and being is. I have no idea what you as a person and me as a person really is, or in what dimensions we are. What you think is everything. And Jesus draws in the story attention to that. It's what happens in the heart. And you're judged out of the words of your mouth, because that reveals the heart. And if you have a John the Baptist type repentance, it's because your heart has been changed, or it's changed by your longing and desire for God, that he forgives. In the concept of sin, of course. I mean, that's what the religion is set in there, and that might not be your concept. Fine. But you see what I mean? It's what you think that counts. Equally, whether you think sin is real or not is what counts. It's what you're thinking that counts. And in some sense that traces who you are and what you value. So we say, well, perhaps the nearest I can get to saying who you are is what you value. Or at least that describes you best. There are problems. You and I are not clear what you value. I mean, you're slightly clearer than I am, perhaps, but not necessarily. But could be. I mean, some people assume that some are just evil, and you've got to kill them. Oh? Ooh. Well, I hope you don't decide I'm evil. I'll be on your death list. Terrible, isn't it? I might point out some very religious people feel like this too. You should be careful. You don't just have to be careful of the totally secular, you have to be careful of the totally religious. And those in between. Of course, we live in a world of uncertainty. And I assume it's for a blessing. And I wish to believe that. And I'm going to. Thank you, Dad, for uncertainty. If you've allowed it, I'm running with it, Lord. Are you running with sin and depravity as well then, Marshall, because he's allowed it? No, I'm not. I have a good idea of what that results in, and it's anything but what I want. And thank goodness, things like smoking and alcohol and drugs and overeating, say, whatever it is, whatever the vice or addiction could be, thank God I've been saved from having to go down that road to find out that it's not what I value. It was clear to me already, thank God. I don't know why. Perhaps because I had the sort of parents that somehow made it clear, even though they weren't quite so clear themselves. Which is strange to say, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Dad. I know what I want to say. I know I've said it often before. But I'm come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. That you be filled with love and joy and peace and all that long list that any man in the street could tell you. That's what he values. They all get it slightly wrong. But in large measure, just being human means they've got it right. Thank God. They all want peace and joy. Shalom would be lovely. Heaven would be wonderful. They want freedom from the things that cause them harm. And loosely speaking, they would like the knowledge that would reveal that to them in such a way that it would make them free. And that's really what religion tries to do, ideally. And if it's not trying to do that, well, it's not the blessing it could be then, is it? But religion's not the only body of knowledge that's trying to do that. Science is trying to do that too. It's trying to find understanding that's going to make life better. Am I naive in saying this? You might think so. But you will accept that I am at least partly right. At least. Because many scientists and so on definitely show this quality. You know, I think of the serious talks we used to have in economics department with students and with staff. Much of their purpose is to make mankind's life better in some way. And at times, everyone despairs at the possibility of how to do this. Why? Because they're human. Thank God. Something very wonderful about the human being. And God can tell you much better than I, but it brings tears to my eyes to think of it. You don't know what you are as a person. And I don't just mean as regards your persona and role in this world. I mean the you that you are eternally. If you had comprehension of who you really are, you would be staggered. It's held from us at present. For a good reason, we trust. And we trust that reason to a very benevolent, wonderful God who holds all things. You can say in his hand, but to my mind, he holds it in his mind. And whilst he thinks and loves me, I exist forever. And if he didn't, I could be taken from ever having existed. Now that's the fantastical, isn't it? Yeah. But then, this whole universe is fantastic. It can't exist by logic and reason. Where could it come from? How can you get all this from nothing? And what is nothing? We are awestruck when we open our mind to the wonderful possibility of God. No wonder it has a miraculous effect on our life. It couldn't not. Love you, Dad. Love you. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.